It was a nice, calm Sunday morning when Michael Schramm was watching TV. But this was the last time that he would ever be seen alive.
Somebody help me! Somebody help me! No! No!
This was how Michael's little brother Billy found him, dead on the floor. Who did it? And why? Did somebody call the detective? The first step in DNA fingerprinting is finding a blood or cell sample from the crime scene. There seems to be an injury here. Let me take a blood sample. Duke, away. Do not contaminate the sample. I will now take these back to my lab to continue the process of DNA fingerprinting. Now that I'm back in my lab, I will conduct the second step in the DNA fingerprinting process, which includes placing the DNA that I gathered from the crime scene into a dish, and then adding restriction enzymes which will cut the DNA in specific places, forming fragments that are easier to identify. Here I have the DNA collected from the crime scene, and I will now place it into the dish, like so. Next, I will add the restriction enzyme to the DNA, like so. And that is step 2 of the DNA fingerprinting process. Now I will conduct the process of electrophoresis. Electrophoresis is where you apply a negative charge to one end of the box, holding the agarose gel, and the negative charge will cause the macromolecules on one end of the box to run towards the positive charge at the other end of the box. This process allows you to see the different lengths and sizes of the macromolecules in the box, which will then allow you to compare it to the other data that you've collected from crime scenes and other places. So now I will apply a negative charge to this end of the box to start the process of electrophoresis. The next step in this process is to transfer the information from the agarose gel to a nylon sheet, which I have right here. I will now place the nylon sheet onto the agarose gel, and I will allow this to soak overnight, which will allow the macromolecules to transfer onto the nylon sheet and show me all the information I need to compare this to the data from the crime scene. Now that I have allowed the nylon sheet to soak overnight in the agarose gel, I will now apply multiple colored probes to the sheet so that I can see the DNA fingerprinting pattern. You can also do radioactive probes, but I prefer colored probes. I'll now add the colored probe all over the sheet, like so. And in a few moments, I will see the DNA fingerprinting pattern. Now that I have applied the colored probes to the nylon sheet, the DNA fingerprinting pattern now shows through the sheet. Like so. You can see the DNA fingerprinting pattern, different lengths and sizes. Now, in order to catch the one who murdered Michael Schramm, we must take the suspect's DNA and go through the same process as before, and we will find their DNA fingerprinting pattern. But in order to catch the criminal, their pattern must match this pattern exactly, no differences. Let's go do some detective work. The morning of the murder, there were only 2 suspects in the house with Michael: his older brother, Bradley Schramm, and his younger brother, Billy Bird. The first suspect I have here is Bradley Schramm. So I'm going to have to take his fingerprints, and then I'll take it back to the lab. Excuse me, sir, would you please put all 5 fingers on here? Next. The second suspect will be his younger brother, Billy Bird. Please, put your finger right there. Thank you. I will now take this data back to my lab and examine it. Now that I have analyzed the DNA for both of Michael's brothers, we can compare their fingerprinting patterns to that of the murderer's fingerprinting patterns and find the one who murdered Michael. So first, I will compare Bradley Schramm's DNA fingerprinting patterns to the murderer's. It is a close matchup all the way down, but if you look at the bottom, you can see that the sizes of the molecules do not match up. Therefore, Bradley Schramm is not the murderer. Next is Billy Bird. It's a complete match. Everything matches. Billy Bird is the murderer. Billy Bird, you're under arrest for the murder of your brother, Michael Schramm.
No!
Officer, arrest that man!
New York PD, get over here! You're under arrest. Fight him.
This has been another successful DNA fingerprinting case for George Belushi.